What's up guys, it's your man I Do a Barber back with another product review, and in this one I'm reviewing the Gamma Plus Absolute Hitta and the Stylecraft Ergo. Man, you guys are in for a treat. In this video we're going to go over the specs of these clippers, we're going to go over some of the pros and cons, and ultimately, are these two clippers a cop? Are these a buy? Is this worth the money? But before we do, any of the products that you see me use in this video will be linked in the description below. And don't forget to smash the like button, subscribe, and press the notification bell so you can stay up to date when I drop videos just like this. So the Stylecraft Ergo comes in this form right here, straight out of the box. However, I did change it to this, and they have different configurations. As you can see here on the box, many different configurations, so you can just design your Stylecraft Ergo the way you like. Now the Stylecraft Ergo has a motor that has 10,000 RPM and a magnetic motor. That is absolutely insane how fast this is in a cordless clipper. It has 140 minutes of runtime. It has a black diamond carbon DLC blade, which is, I'm not gonna lie, I actually love this thing. The blade is very easy to zero gap, and a lithium ion battery. Now it does come with guards, and I'm gonna be honest, I would show you those guards today, but I can't because you know why? I threw them away. They're ultimately like the single magnetic guards for the Andis, but they actually fit this. So this actually fits wall guards, and it also fits sort of the Andis single magnetics, but they would just wiggle when you would have them on. But the guards that you get with Stylecraft, they're black and they have a single magnet, which is actually kind of funny. I remember on the Andis packaging of their guards, it would say strong magnet, and the Stylecraft Ergos has a magnet. Now I put this magnet on this one, and then also put the Andis one on this one, and yeah, there is a difference in magnet strength, which sounds absolutely stupid and ridiculous that would be a marketing feature, like strong magnet. The guards that you get with the Stylecraft, the magnet is very weak and the guards are very flimsy, therefore I threw them away. Now one interesting thing they put on the packaging of the Ergo is, they put on here that, I'm not sure if you can see this motor has 5,000 hours of motor life. So they're actually telling you, because this is one thing with cordless clippers, a lot of people's gripe about them is they don't last very long. After a couple years, they don't last very long. After a couple years, you could either expect this clipper to die or lose its power drastically. So it's telling you right off the bat that you have 5,000 hours of work life in this clipper. So if I turn this on, like I am now, that's hurting me. The more I do this, that's decreasing the life of this clipper, and it's devaluing the more I leave this running. Now it's almost like this thing is a ticking time bomb in your hand. Think about that. This thing is like a ticking time bomb every time you turn it on. It's almost like some crazy movie plot. 5,000 hours of work life out of this clipper. That's what you can expect. But what does that equate to? There are 40 hours in a week, 52 weeks in a year. That equals 2,000. Let's times this by 2. That's if you're working 40 hours every week, all week, for 2 years. This clipper will give you a lifespan of about 2.5 years. So you can expect this Stylecraft Ergo to give you a work life of 2.5 years. Now this thing, the price on this is $199. So if you feel that $199 is worth 2.5 years worth of work, then go ahead and cop this clipper. But in my opinion, I do think it's worth it when you think about it. We're barbers and it's a business, blah, blah, blah. But for the home person, you're probably not gonna use this clipper for 5,000 hours over the lifetime of you cutting hair. So maybe it lasts you a lifetime. I'm not sure how the battery will last over time. Typically these batteries, it's a lithium ion battery, and typically they do die out over time, but that's one thing to keep an eye on. Now this thing comes with a 10-foot charging cable, which is very long, and we all know as barbers, we have tons of stuff on our station already, so we don't have enough space to be putting other stuff, and we all don't have the 245 Eco Mat. So at first I was using this and I was plugging it from one to the other because the charger actually fits in both, this little plug. But I was just like, this is ridiculous. So I sacrificed and put the Stylecraft base on the top, and it's a nice sleek base. You can see the difference between both. The trimmer is this round disc shape, and the clipper is a nice sleek shape. So it's kind of like, why didn't they make the trimmer like this one? But then the other question I asked was, why didn't they make one base for both? Why didn't they make a base that's just universal for all their clipper lineups? until I figured this out. I figured out that you can put both in there. See, this is for the clipper, but you can also fit the trimmer in there. Now, it doesn't fit snug like the clipper, but it does work. So you can get rid of the trimmer base and just use the clipper base for both. Now, here's one thing I also don't like about the Ergos. Seeing out how this is a 140-minute runtime, you're only gonna get through like 4 haircuts. Depends on how slow you cut, maybe 3. So you gotta be very strategic in how you use this thing. So when you're done cutting with it, if you know you've cut 2 to 3 heads, what you need to do is you need to put this on the charge instead of just put it down on your station. Now, what I also found was with the Ergo, which is what I don't like, I tried to cut with this with the cable. So this was before I started using the base. I would plug it in and I would cut with it, thinking that it will charge and I'll be able to cut at the same time, because we all know you can do this with the magic clips. I did this with the MVs, but no. And another thing, you don't get an indicator on when this thing's about to die. I didn't see a red light or anything. I didn't hear a beep or anything weird. It just stopped working. So even when I was cutting with it corded, it still died. But then I put it down, it would work a little bit, then it would die. That's another con. Now this clipper, the Gamma Absolute Hitta. This one, it actually comes in a form like this. It actually came like this in the packaging, but of course, I got different housing. And of course, it shows you all the different mini configurations that you can do with this and all the other different things. This one also has the Black Diamond DLC blade. It has a 4-hour runtime, which is crazy when you look at the size of this little clipper. The size of this trimmer. Crazy to think that they packed 4 hours of runtime in this, but only packed 140 minutes of runtime in this. Now that I have this clear case on, you can see how big the battery is. I'm not sure if you can see that, the profile of that battery, but it's a pretty decent sized battery that comes in both of these clippers and trimmers. Let's be honest, if you bought both of these clippers, you would probably prefer 4 hours of runtime out of this than 140 minutes of runtime out of this, because let's be real, you're gonna spend more time using a clipper than a trimmer. And if you aren't, you're doing something grossly wrong. Now, as Gamma suggests, this comes with a supercharged rotary motor, and you can kind of hear that. Now, I kind of wish this was magnetic, but I guess the Evo is magnetic, so I guess beggars can't be choosers. But it doesn't say the RPM of this motor. It just says supercharged. There's no RPM. Kind of interesting. Because when using this trimmer, I actually wish this thing had a little bit more power. So I would really be more curious of what that number is. And if they were to do any tweaks to this in the future, please bump up the power. Let's just be real. If you put 2,000 RPM extra in this trimmer and decrease the battery life to 2 hours, I don't think anyone will be upset with that. And for those people that have used this trimmer, they would also probably agree with me that they would use an extra 2,000 RPM. They would use that and sacrifice the battery life, because this is a great trimmer, but it does lack in power. Now this trimmer on Amazon is $129. And even as I look on Amazon, it doesn't give you any data on the speed of this motor. So I guess Gamma is keeping that a secret, and I wish Gamma would actually let me know. I'm actually curious. What's the RPM on this, Gamma? Gamma also sent me the Uno, but I only got a chance to use this once. Use this once on a client. I had a problem trying to pry this off to clean it, and I messed it up. So this one was a flop and won't be included in this product review. But it's an interesting concept. So interesting, in fact, that I went out and bought the Babeless single foil. So thanks, Gamma, for making me buy the Babeless. Another thing I like about these clippers and trimmers is they're perfect. They're lightweight, very small, good for women, good for cutting kids because it's not loud at all. Listen, both of these together. Other cordless trimmers are very loud, very easy for kids, because you know how kids are when they hear the loud sound, they get freaked out. And this blade is crazy. You cannot overlap this blade. You can zero gap it. It's very hard to completely zero gap it, and it's impossible to overlap the blade. So it's perfect for the beginner, perfect. Now let's talk configuration. As you saw earlier, this clipper comes with many different forms. You can configure this thing all different ways. But I went on Amazon and I bought the different body kits, I guess if you want to call that, for these clippers and trimmers. Now, it's kind of weird that the clipper, you get 3 different options, but with the trimmer, you only get 2 different casing options. Gamma, why did you do that? Because it's like if you like the red color for the clipper, you can't put it on the trimmer because you don't get that option. You only get the green and that like gray and black color. But nevertheless, I went with the green here. Now, one problem with this green cover, the clear casing, that I noticed, this little clear cover, they actually give you this in the packaging. And I decided to put the black face on and do the clear upper. As you can see here, this thing cracked right here. Cracked on that side and it was rendered useless. Now, if you look closely here at this green one, you will see that there's a crack right there. You see, it cracked again, sort of in the same spot that this clear one cracked in. So I wonder if there's a quality issue here with Gamma, and really, why is this happening? Fortunately for me, this is not continue to crack and break off to where this would be rendered useless, but it's definitely something that makes me curious. Like, Gamma, why is that? Like, what's up with this product? Why is there this quality issue with this? I do love the fact, like, I'm not one of those big custom clipper guys and blah, 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 but I do like the little green. It's kind of cool. You get to see the guts of it and it's cool. I like it. It's fun. Also, they give you the 3 different levers. As you can see, you get the click lever. You hear that? It's clicking. They do give you some other different colors and one that doesn't click if you like that. Now, I actually had to humble myself. This clipper, I had to come into this product review very, very humble. So humble, in fact, that when I've heard of other clipper companies using the click lever, and I was like, come on, really? I'm a professional barber. I don't need a click lever. I don't need training wheels to do a fade. Because we all know, you know, look, we're professionals, we're good at this. We know that you can just feel and where the lever is. You don't need a click lever. But when I do my product reviews, I actually like to use the clipper in the bare bones form how it was sent to me. I don't like to change too much about it, just zero gapping it and that's about it. I like to keep it how it is and just use it and see how it performs. Now, I'm humbled. I love the click lever. Because when you're doing a fade and you set that 1-inch guideline in with the lever open, with this, all you have to do is go to the 3rd position and go to the 2nd position and maybe close and you're done. That's if you're putting in your guidelines with the lever closed. Now, I zero gap this, but that click lever makes it absolutely dummy proof. I mean, like, I've been using the Envies with the wall fade blade, and many of you guys know me for this, but I'm telling you, over the past 3 weeks of me using these clippers and trimmers, I have not picked up my Envy since. They have been collecting dust ever since. I'm telling you, I haven't picked up the cordless masters hardly at all. Now, I have had to use the Fat Master to do some cleanup on some of the jobs that, you know, I have a little problems with guards. But boy, oh boy, this clipper right here makes fading with the wall guards so easy. So good, in fact, that I went out and bought the rest of the wall guards. I bought the 1 through the 8 because these clippers and I don't know if it's the 10,000 RPM that makes fading with the wall guards like perfect. Like, you put the wall guards on there, you see the premium guards, they fit perfectly. And I've been using these ever since. It makes fading with the wall guards so easy. Now, I think, this is just my opinion, it could be a combination of the blade and it could be a combination of the speed of the motor, because I would use these wall guards on the Envies and it just wouldn't cut the same. And obviously this has way more power than the Envies, but I would notice that these do a much better job on the Stylecraft Ergos. It cuts through the hair way better. You get a much better fade, I've noticed, with this versus using the Envies, because the Envies motor is a lot slower. Now, I used to be one of those people that I didn't mind the slower motor until I used this. When I started using this, I noticed a big difference in my fade. Something else for you to think about with this clipper is, like I said earlier, with the blade being so thin, I've noticed clients that want a 1, maybe a half or a 1.5, when you cut with this in any position, that doesn't matter, it's gonna cut a lot closer. So traditionally with the Andis Master blade, if you look at the Andis Master, look at the tip towards there, it's a lot thicker than this one. Which means that, and I've noticed, clients that I've cut with 1s typically, or a 1.5, or the 1 guard with the lever open, this actually cuts closer, and that might be why I like this thing so much, because it cuts similar to the blades. So a 1.5 or a 1 open really looks like a 1.5 blade, to be honest, because the hair gets cut a lot closer, mainly because this blade is a lot thinner, and especially in that closed position. If you're doing a 1, like even today, case in point, just as example, and more proof to what I'm telling you, client that typically gets a 1, he was like, man, my waves are gone. Exactly. So that's one thing you need to look out for. Could be a con, could be a pro, depending on how you look at it.
Quick little tidbit, something I forgot to add. The amazing thing about the Ergo is the flat blade, it shapes afros like a hot knife through butter. I mean, I used to use the 5.0 detachable, but it's way better than this. This thing in a closed position will shape an afro to perfection, and you got to be very careful. I'm not exaggerating when it comes to that. Also, it's great for clipper over comb because the blade is just so flat. Amazing.
This was also a humbling experience because we all watched the Walmart clipper challenge that barbers did on YouTube. Basically a challenge to show that it's not the clipper, it's the barber. It's the barber, it's all in the skill of the barber. Boy, humbling experience. This clipper, I'm gonna say this in all honesty, it made me better. And I never thought I would see a clipper that would make me a better barber just like that. The fades are coming out easier. This actually makes me work a lot faster. It also sped me up. So meaning, as we all know, time is money. The more heads you can get in, the more money that you can make. And this clipper did it for me. So I got Stylecraft Gamma. Today I bow at your feet. I bow at your feet because this thing is an absolute beast. And I'm gonna be honest, I'm changing up my top 5 starting lineup. It's totally changed because of this clipper. And I'm gonna be honest, I might get rid of my envies, to be honest with you. I might get rid of the cordless masters. With the regular master blade, the fat master, I'm still keeping it. But the envies and the regular masters, I'm sorry, y'all gotta go. And I'm gonna take it a step further. Many of you know me, you know I fade with the blades. I got them all. I got all the big to the small. But I have not picked up the blades since using this clipper. With the combination of the Wall Premium guards, I have not picked up the blades. I have picked up the blades just to knock down some bulk if you want to use it in that manner. But as far as like fading with the blades, no. I've been fading with these with the wall guards. Absolutely crazy. Now, when you look at this blade, it's very thin blade. When you look at this, just look at the size of that blade there and compare this to the Andis Master. You see how thin that blade is compared to the Andis Master. Let's compare this to my Envies with the Wall Fade blade. You can see there that this is much thinner than the Envies. Crazy how much thinner this blade is. But it makes me wonder, like, what is this comparable to? Because the only blade that I've seen as thin as this is the Andis Fade blade, which if you look here, that's very similar. Very, very similar. Kind of ironic because at one point I hated the Andis Fade blade because it was just too thin. It would pull and blah, blah, blah. Which I've noticed this kind of pulls if you kind of take it off the head and fade like this, but if you leave it flush, it's absolutely amazing. And it's crazy for me to even say that I've put the blades away for the most part, and I put my masters away and the envies away and the I'm telling you guys, absolutely insane. This is a major, major cop. Now let's talk about these trimmers. It's a major cop. Now, in full disclosure, honesty and everything, I have not picked up my Babyliss Silver FXs hardly at all. I picked them up twice since using this trimmer. This trimmer was able to do everything. Kind of weird because, you know, the Babyliss Silver FX, Gold FX, whatever you use, they're great. Tons of power. Now, if this had like 2,000 more RPM, I might say this might be better than the Babyliss. Where this doesn't keep up with the Babyliss is the balding of it. Now, it doesn't bald out as good as the Babyliss, I've noticed. It does bald out, it's not the greatest balder, and I always recommend that you use a 5.0 detachable blade on your clipper to do any balding out, but it does a decent job, but not like the Babyliss. As far as the lining, it does a really good job. And I'm gonna be honest, I put this through the paces. I've used this on every single client, every one of them. And I'm using my knowledge from what I know from using the Babyliss Silver FXs. On some clients, I get a much better line using this than my Babyliss. And some clients I noticed with the Babyliss is a little bit easier versus using this. But all together, overall, I love using this trimmer.
However, over the weekend, I was using this trimmer on some kids and I noticed I was having a problem getting a really good line, so I picked up the Babyliss, and the Babyliss left a much better impression quicker. Now, I could have gotten there eventually with the Hittas, but it would have just taken a little bit longer, and that's what makes me keep having the Babyliss on the sideline.
Here's another thing. With my Babyliss, for them to hit that hard, I had to set them pretty close. And it's kind of irritating to some of the clients, and even me using it myself. I'm like, I use it on the mustache or above the lip or on the neck, and I'm like, ooh, this is sharp. With this one, so easy to zero gap this blade. I mean, if you can see here how I zero gap this blade, just to hair off, you know, you can snags a little bit, but you don't get much irritation, if any, with this trimmer. Case in point, I did my beard. Typically, doing my beard with the Babyliss, put the alcohol on fire. Call 911, call the fire department, get them over here. But this one, I put them on there, put the alcohol, much less burn using these. And they're pretty close. If you look at this blade here, it actually reminds me of a wall detailer blade. It has the same shape. It's not the shape of the Evo blade that has the look of the T-Outliner blade, but that explains why this works so well, because the wall detailers are hitters if you get them set properly. And if you look here closely at this blade, it's very, very thin blade at the tip, which means you're gonna get very sharp lines, and you do. Is this better than the Babyliss Silver FX? My answer is no, but it comes in a very, very close second. So close, in fact, that as I said, I don't really use these anymore. One of the reasons why I rate this trimmer so highly is because the problems that I will have with the Silver FX is it didn't cut all of the hair. Every hair type and texture, it didn't cut well, especially like longer hair. This does not cut hair really well. And this is why I would keep the Slimline Pro Li on my station, because this would grab the hair and go straight through it. But the thing is with this thing, it cuts every single type of hair great. It does a good job. It goes through it, it leaves a very solid line. And boy, this leaves a very good line, like a good first impression. When you put it on there, it leaves a very good line. Now, you're gonna have to come back with a razor. It doesn't get as close as this. Like sometimes I would do people's edge up with this, and I know I'm good, I don't have to use a razor. But with this, even though you might, especially if it's long, you may have to go through it, but you're definitely gonna have to go through it with the razor. Like I say, leaves a good line. You're still gonna have to go over with it with the razor using this, but it does leave a very good line. And it depends, like if it's very coarse hair, of course, for sure, without a doubt. But if you have that thin hair or someone who's not very hairy, this is gonna do a very good job. And I rate this trimmer here very highly. Another question, is this better than the Slimline Pro Li or the Slimline Pro GTX? Compared to the Slimline Pro GTX, way better. Compared to the Slimline Pro Li, it's better. I gotta give it. This thing is better than the Slimline Pro Li. The blade is bigger, it hits just as good, you get longer battery life, and it could be arguable on the power, but I have not had a need to pick up my Andis Slimline Pro Li. So I'm gonna have to do a giveaway, guys. I need to give away these clippers. There's no need for them. And these are an absolute cop. So that's gonna wrap up this review. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you got some knowledge from it and figure out if this is a cop for you. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Links to all the stuff will be in the description below. And I gotta apologize for everyone. And I know some of you are gonna be upset because you're like, you're the reason I'm using the MVs. You're the reason I switched over to the wall fade blade. I know. But boy, oh boy, this came right on time because Gamma must have been listening to me, because I told you guys I plan on buying a new clipper, trimmer, and shaver. And Gamma just hit me with the whole lit. I'm glad that they did, because if Gamma would have never sent me this stuff, I would have never known how good these clippers and trimmers really are. So I highly recommend that you cop these. This is a massive, major cop in my opinion. These clippers are amazing, so amazing in fact that I might go out and buy myself another pair of these and get rid of my envies, just like I told you guys. So major cop in my opinion. Sorry for everyone, especially if you're interested in trying these and you're pissed off that you gotta spend more money. I feel you, man, I feel you. But it's been your man, I do it, signing out. I'll holla.